Oh my goodness. I'm sitting here staring out of my office window. It is January 29th of 2025, the new moon in Aquarius. And it's like crazy wind outside. This has been one hell of a winter where I live. We've been hammered with snow. It's been like consecutive, like sometimes 3 to 4 days in a row of near constant whiteouts. And then we'll get like a few days respite in between, but right now we're having crazy wind and it's just picking up all the snow and moving it all around. So even though no new snow is falling, it's, there's still a lot of snow clearing work to do. It's just such an interesting time. The energy of this January is so interesting. Speaking in a kind of personal and personal and general way. So obviously the weather really affects and reflects the energy that I'm feeling right now. But also there's something greater going on. And whatever the weather happens to be doing where you live, we are really in this beautiful time of, it's like, okay, we have downshifted. Substantially. We have downshifted. The energy levels that we have to do anything at all are substantially decreased. And yet we still have shit to do and all that stuff. That's all true and real. But on just on a human existence and consciousness level, even our energy has downshifted a lot, and it started downshifting somewhere in September. I mean, arguably somewhere after the Lion's Gate, truthfully, but it really, really, really kicked into gear, I think, with, I don't know, the second Mars retrograde of the year, and then it led into the second Mercury retrograde of 2024, which led into the Mars retrograde shadow, and we're in the true Mars retrograde right now. So it was sort of like back in October. It feels like that's when we felt the initial downshift. And me personally, I spiraled because I didn't understand what that downshift of energy was all about. And I could tell that we were going to go into a really low valley energetically. And I didn't know it was a collective thing. I thought it was just a me thing, which is why I was spiraling, and which is why I wanted to do all those year ahead readings, because I was like, damn, if it has affected me this much, it's got to be affecting everybody as well. But I didn't know what it was. And it helped me so much to find out what it was. So here we are. We're in the Mars retrograde right now, and the energy is low. It's so low. But I'm honestly here for it. And it's interesting because in my world, the weather is reflecting that. Like the weather is enforcing this low energy period. It just feels like we're on a collective timeout. Like the powers that be they're kind of like, okay, you need to slow your roll, sit down and chill. And it's not really a punitive timeout. It's not because we're doing something bad, but maybe we're just a little much. We've been a little extra lately in our lives and in our consciousness. And the powers that be are saying, sit and be. Like the masculine action-taking doer needs to just sit down and chill and let the feminine part of ourselves be. Let it be. So we're in this downgrade energetically. And ideally, we would just be surrendering to it. Honestly, we would just be allowing ourselves to we wouldn't be fighting the timeout. Hopefully you're not fighting the timeout. If you're fighting the timeout, just stop fighting the timeout. The timeout will be 1,000 times more pleasant and 1,000 times more effective, and significantly decrease the shittiness of future timeouts if you just take this timeout now and sit on the timeout. Like, do you guys have a toddler? I have a toddler at home. He's literally a Cancer male. It is so funny. He's like the clearest example of everything that's happening. Sometimes he's just wound for sound. Like, he for sure has ADHD. I don't need a diagnosis because A, I'm not going to medicate him, and B, like, it would not change anything. Everybody knows he's ADHD. He has so much energy. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen a kid have this much energy. I'm sure some of you could put up a good argument that yours does, though. But sometimes I just have to put him on timeout. He's being a little rangy. It's a little much. So he just has to sit on the timeout. And it's so much better when he just takes the timeout right from jump, and then we can move on. We can redirect the energy. We can do something fun. But sometimes, being a little Cancer male, he wants to fight back, and the timeout turns into this big thing and a battle of wills, and like, then I have to win on principle, because otherwise I've given up very important ground, and it's just not a good strategy. So I have to win. I have to win the battle that he has insisted on having. And it just makes the whole thing so miserable. That's what this Mars retrograde is like for us. We're on a timeout. We maybe have extra fucking snow to clear. Like, reality doesn't necessarily, it's not so much that the world is conspiring to give us calm circumstances. We still have shit we have to get done. But to the extent that we can just surrender when we can and just time out, the much more smooth this upgrade process will be for us. Because that's what it is. It's an upgrade. It's like we're integrating significant upgrades, and we can't keep integrating it if we run along at the same stupid pace that we've been going for so long. We have to shift gears. That's the whole purpose of this Mars retrograde. It's a humongous gift, in fact, because honestly, the astrology, everything changes so much that by the end of the second quarter, like literally by the end of June, the first half of the year is over. It's just going to be a different story all around on levels that we cannot even comprehend, collectively, personally, and like other people's lives that affect us. There's just so much change in the works. It makes sense to be on a timeout and to like preemptively slow down and shift gears in preparation for all the turbulence of that change. So if you happen to be resisting the timeout and you're trying to push through it and you're angry with yourself because you can't get as much done as you normally would or whatever, it's okay to feel that anger. I mean, that's part of like a Mars in Cancer retrograde, like a Mars toddler male having to sit on timeout. Sometimes we're going to have a fit about it. But as soon as you can get over that fit, just do yourself a favor and get over that fit and understand that this is a humongous gift. So this is a weird fucking way to start off a year. It's very weird energetically, but it's also like really, really good. We're also in this really beautiful Venus. Well, Venus, I think it just conjoined Neptune in the North Node in Pisces, and it's going to shift into Aries soon, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. See, this is how I know I'm not a real true blue astrologer. I'm like kind of following it, but mostly I just feel the energy and read into the energy and read the collective. But anyway, what I know is that it's almost like the masculine is being told to sit this one out so the feminine can step forward. And I don't mean men are being told to sit this one out so women can step forward. I do not mean that in any way. I mean the masculine part of ourselves, the masculine energy is being asked to sit this one out so the feminine energy can come to the forefront. And it's actually so beautiful because, I mean, like Mars and Venus just tried each other. Mars is in Cancer, albeit in retrograde, but it's actually good. Venus is in Pisces. It's just so beautiful. It's like the internal flower that you are is finally fucking being given space to bloom. P.S. If you don't have some kind of spiritual practice going on right now, what are you even doing? This is the perfect time to meditate, create a meditation practice, one that feels fun and good, and that it's not something on your to-do list to be achieved so you can check it off in your bullet journal or your like habit tracker or whatever the fuck. It's because you are tuning into the subtler psychic energies that normally get completely overcrowded by all of the like do frenetic level beta brainwave kind of human stuff that we are used to dealing with all the time. Not to mention mindless scrolling and mindlessly watching shows or movies on streaming services, whatever, mindlessly even consuming content that you normally like and isn't necessarily meant to be mind numbing, but that you're just actually not feeling it, but you keep listening to it because you're trying to fill a void. All of that stuff, you got to just let that go a little bit and create some space for your psychic self, for that feminine. God, we're having such a huge psychic activation. It is. All the masculine stuff is having to sit back and heal his shit, while the feminine is like, oh my God, what? I'm being given space? I'm being prioritized? Whoa. Let me just reveal all my flowers and fruits to you under these circumstances. Explore the Akashic records, explore your psychic abilities, explore oracle cards or tarot cards or crystals, or this is such a mystical time, such a beautiful psychic activation time. And this is going to be with us all the way through until July of 2026, because the North Node has just shifted into Pisces. So we're getting it through the lens of the feminine right now. We're feeling it in this specific way right now, where we're kind of, our inner masculine's on a timeout and the feminine's like, there's space for me? Amazing. And so we're experiencing this initial coaxing out and courting of our psychic selves. And by psychic self, I mean the part of us that is able to become attuned to the subtler, non-physical and subtler physical energies of this realm. It's the part of us that can feel the energy of a plant, or feel the energy of an animal, or just sit quietly and allow the atmospheric sensations of the now moment become consciously aware to you, or you become consciously aware of it. That's what I mean. It's stuff that has been deprioritized in our culture for so long that we have matrix programs telling us that we can't, this is foolish, this is indulgent, this is ridiculous, there's work to be done, there's shit, blah, 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 blah. But can't you feel it inside of yourself? Those matrix implants are so old, they're so tired, they belong to previous generations, previous timelines, previous situations for humans that they didn't get healed, so they keep getting passed down. But there's no fucking life force energy left in those anymore. There's none left in them anymore. We really don't have lessons to learn apart from learning that we have the power to rapidly transmute that stuff and elevate above it. When you hear me say that, when you hear me speak into that false matrix program, that would be you can't meditate. You don't have time to meditate. You don't this is foolish. This is crazy. Why are you spending your time doing this? You have to be on top of this. You have to be on top of that. Can't you feel the panic and the fear and the constriction frequency in that? We don't have to be in that anymore. We can now be in this frequency of allowing ourselves to become present and aware of the subtler energies. That's where all of our magic powers exist. That's where all of our psychic abilities exist, is in our ability to attune to the subtle energies, the way we experience them inwardly, our relationship to them as outward manifestations, energy outside of us, physical or non-physical. And then the ability to develop a relationship with those subtleties, those subtle energies and subtle awarenesses, and then learn how to create currents within them and direct those currents. That's what magic fucking is. And we're perfectly capable of doing it. The irony is just that we've been convinced otherwise. We've been convinced otherwise through hundreds of years, millennia. I mean, time isn't really real, but a very long sustained campaign of like deliberate traumatization of human beings around their ability to attune to these subtler levels of reality and direct them into the creation of timelines. Like, that's our magic. It's such a fucking mind-boggling magic. It's so mind-boggling. And it's a bummer. It's such a bummer that we have been convinced that we are a waste of space, or that we're whatever. What have I heard? Like hairless beach apes. Or on the other side of that spectrum, the wounded ego spectrum, we've also sometimes been convinced that we are like gods ourselves, which is not the vibe either. But as humans, we actually wield magic. It exists in our fucking chakras. Like, it's not... Let me tell you. The things that I have come to understand about chakras through the decision to embark on this path of spiritual exploration, which ultimately led me to the Akashic records, among many, many other things that have served me immensely and continue to serve me. But as you know, the Akashic records is my main thing. It's my like forever love, and it changed my life so much that I will just continue to talk about it and share about it forever and ever and ever to anybody who feels inclined to listen to me. But I embarked on this journey, and it led me to this place where my understanding of chakras goes so far beyond like the chakra basics that we're used to. There are other people who similarly have accessed these levels of understanding about the chakras. I am certainly not the only one. But the point is that there is so much more. Like, these aren't just energy centers that help us to align ourselves or whatever. Like, they literally each contain their own specific type of very fascinating magic that we have the full ability to understand and develop and learn how to wield with mastery. Like, this is our internal technology. We have the 7 main chakras that everybody is, well, most people who would be listening to a podcast such as this, that most people would be familiar with. So the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra. I know it's chakra, but I just, chakra is what comes out of my mouth. The heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra. So those are the ones that are often depicted in spiritual imagery, and those are like the foundational, main, physical, personal body chakras that we have. They correspond to parts of our physical body, but also like they are like portals and vortexes that allow us to connect with the subtler levels of our body, like our emotional body, our mental body, our etheric body, and our light body, our aura, all those different layers of our own energy. These chakras sort of like tunnel between all of them. So we have those chakras, and believe me, each one of those chakras is full of a magic that it's just fucking insane. And like, I don't know. I just want to figure out how I can take what is in my third eye, because that's the way I understand it. As I see it. I see it playing out as images, like a movie in my mind while I'm speaking, whether my eyes are open or closed. That's how it works for me. And then it also, like, I understand it claircognizantly. So I see and understand, or I understand and I see. But I wish I could take the images and just put them all in your third eye, which PS, like, go telepathy tapes. I'm so glad that this is circulating, because that is one of our chakra abilities. Like, that's an example. I should be able to do that. We're not supposed to communicate through words. That's not how we're designed. There's nothing wrong with it. And I've recently, like, you know, I've been complaining about the English language for a long time, and there are things to complain about. I was speaking to an Ottawa language speaker, Ottawa, the Ottawa people. I was speaking to him yesterday, and he was sharing some of his language with me, which it's not possible for me to articulate using English what a gift, an honor, it was to hear that language, which holds so many keys and so many codes and so many mysteries and so much wisdom and so much magic, to hear it spoken. And we were talking about how English, there's something encoded in English that keeps us locked into the false matrix. And yet there is also a way to use English that is so artful and beautiful, and like there's a way around it, or there's a way to still move through it and use it. But my point is, with this little tangent about language and communication and telepathy, etc., is that truly just those 7 chakras have so much magic in them that it is the most insane, infuriating, absurd, ridiculous joke that we as humans have been convinced to operate the way that we're operating. It's so insane. Like, it's so insane. Like, oh my God, it's so fucking crazy. We've been convinced that in order to build structures, we have to grind down rocks, or we have to like pulverize and reshape in a physical, manual way, like trees. It's so insane. And that we have to labor so hard on a physical level just to create a structure. No, that's not that. That's a false matrix implant. I personally believe that agriculture is a false matrix implant. Now, I love farmers. I am grateful for agriculture. It feeds us. I am deeply, deeply, deeply reverently grateful to everybody who participates in agriculture. I think that the way that agriculture was given to us a long time ago, a very, very, very long time ago, like not held in our recorded history that we are given access to long time ago. We were given agriculture and it was presented to us as a gift, but the way it was given to us was in a way that imprisons us. And not only agriculture, but other certain things too. Like, we were given tools, physical tools, to physically manipulate this physical reality as though that's what we have to do in order to change this reality. We were given those things as though it was a gift, but they were given to imprison our consciousness in a very labor-intensive and exhausting way of existing and doing things. And it's a fucking joke that we exist this way. It's like, on one hand, a joke that all you can do is laugh, especially when you look at it from a way higher dimensional level. And then when you look at it from the human level, it's infuriating because we contain such incredible magic within ourselves. It's a magic that allows us to be able to levitate dense objects and to easily create beautiful, elegant structures when needed. We also have a magic within us that allows us to communicate on like telepathic levels, on 3 different telepathic levels. We have chakras within ourselves that obviously, as I feel like I've shared endlessly, but a lot of it's in my courses, so for the rest of you who listen to the podcast, I'm sure you don't feel like you've heard it endlessly, but our chakras also correspond to our psychic technology. So like our ability to, hear clairaudiently, to be able to channel, to be able to see clairvoyantly, to be able to channel verbal messages as I do, or to be able to channel music, or to be able to channel sound frequencies, or to be able to channel light and channel healing frequencies, which obviously all of those can but be all of them. But that's what our chakras enable us to do. We have these abilities. It's not the select special few. I don't know why sometimes people are born and the veil of their perception is very thin. And so we get this impression that it's like, oh, just the selected special ones, but it's not like that at all. For some people, it's just born very thin. I don't think there's a general reason. I'm sure if I did an Akashic Records reading with them, we'd be able to gain interesting insight. But for the rest of us, our chakras, we all have them. We all have these abilities, all of it. We have the ability to manipulate energy, to manipulate reality, and not in a, like, when I use the word manipulate, I just mean sort of like engage with, relate to, like give it input and receive feedback and learn how to move with that and like direct these currents of energy, to create a current of focused energy and direct it. You know, the way that you would create a relationship with surfing, right? Like you're not manipulating the wave at all on any level, but you're figuring out how to ride with the wave so that the wave isn't manipulating you. And that requires a level of like manipulating your own energy. That's what I mean when I say we can manipulate reality, is that we learn how to manipulate our own energy in a positive way, in a controlled way, where we're tuned in and dialed into subtler and higher frequencies, but also subtler and lower frequencies. Like low frequency is not automatically bad. High frequency is not automatically good. They're just different frequencies on the frequency range. But when we can detect these frequencies, we can learn how to cultivate a relationship with them and direct them and move them and create magic without needing wands, without needing spells, although tools are kind of fun and cool sometimes. I don't know. But we don't need them. Like the magic is not in the tool. The magic is in us. We all contain these chakras. This is something we can all do. But we have to decide that it's a worthwhile pursuit. And bringing it back to the Mars retrograde and the current energy, that's the gift in it. That's the benefit of it, is that we don't have to do anything. I'm speaking as a human right now. We don't actually have to do anything. On the grand scheme of things, all of this is just going to continue to unfold in whatever way it does on levels of infinitely higher and infinitely lower scales that would blow our minds if we really actually tuned into it. So on that level, everything is fucking fine. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. And we can surrender to that as a fact anytime we want. But for those of us who are humans, who are here as humans, and, you know, it's not necessarily practical for us to surrender to the higher dimensional vantage point of nothing matters. For those of us who are here, it behooves us to prioritize the learning of this magic that we have within ourselves and developing a relationship with our own ability to become aware of and move within the subtle energies of this realm. It behooves us to do that. It behooves us to turn and move in this direction. It will make the process of whatever unfolds in the coming 5 years, it will make it much easier. It doesn't mean it will be easy. I think we're headed for some fucking chaos on a global scale. But it will make it easier if we have at least started to develop a relationship and awareness of these subtler energies and therefore our own like magic abilities to be able to move and work with them. So this Mars retrograde is really offering us that opportunity, because that the wounded child, the wounded inner child, toddler, masculine part of ourselves, who has been running the show because he's been running this wound story our whole lives. That part of ourselves is being put on timeout. And it's a loving timeout. It's not a punitive timeout. It's a loving timeout. And the mystical feminine part of ourselves is being given space to bloom forward. And we're being set up with the perfect opportunity to cultivate this awareness of subtle energies and this relationship with our own magic. We're being given this opportunity now, and we might as well take it. Not that it goes away. I mean, we can always, like, these are our chakras. We can develop them anytime we want. But right now is really, it's just such a perfect energy for it. The other thing I want to say is that we have all these accessory chakras as well, and we have transpersonal chakras, which I highly recommend you look into. I don't know. Well, it was in 2022 that I started to develop an awareness of the transpersonal chakra system, and it completely changed, in terms of higher dimensional awareness, and in terms of channeling and downloading like so many codes. Tuning into those transpersonal chakras was wild. Like, it literally opened up gateways of consciousness. But in our physical body, we also have all these fascinating accessory chakras. For example, we have little accessory chakras by our ears. We have a little pair for each ear. We have a little accessory chakra up above our eyes to activate our, like, the expanded vision that we have through our physical eyes. We have accessory chakras in the palms of our hands and the soles of our feet. There's the mouth of God at the base of our skull. There's another one behind our heart. There's another one behind our solar plexus. There are really interesting chakras in the legs, several interesting chakras between the heart and the arms, and between the solar plexus and the sacral. There's just like so much interesting shit going on. We're such fascinating beings. And it's our time. It's our time to learn that, our time to remember that, and our time to like remember how to use these abilities that we're all born with and we all have. Okay, well, it's a couple days later because I had to go get my kids, and guess what? I got stuck in the damn driveway and had to dig myself out of the snow. So, just like really, really receiving all of my own freaking energy report medicine. Oh my goodness. But, it just is what it is, and it's okay. It's all okay. So, I don't even really remember where I ended off. My apologies for the strange transition here. But what I do remember is that I never gave an explanation for the long hiatus in energy reports. And it's just simply that I spent so much energy right before Mars went truly retrograde in Cancer. I used up all of the remaining energy reserves of Mars, even though it was in retrograde, but it was in Leo. So I had more energy available. I used it all up on my year ahead readings and the holidays. And by the time I was finished my year ahead readings, I was just like flat, like no gas in the tank, nothing left. So I've just really had to honor myself and let my cup slowly refill and replenish. But here I am, and I hope you enjoyed this energy report. And if the information that I shared about activating your chakras, your personal chakras, your transpersonal chakras, the powerful accessory chakras in your body, activating your magic, developing your psychic abilities, if all of that resonates with you, then I just want to let you know about my new Akashic Keys Mystery School. So this mystery school is where we go deep into the activation of these technologies within, and we're exploring topics such as our ancient origins, the concept of dragons and angelics, the Eternals and the Elohim. We're going into ancient civilizations and golden ages such as Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, the Middle East, India. We're going to talk about stargates and portals, all kinds of things. And if all of that speaks to you and all of that lights you up and it feels magnetizing and enticing, then you are ready for the conversations that we're having in the Akashic Keys Mystery School. And so I invite you to check it out and join. I would absolutely love to have you there, seated amongst this council of powerful beings, game makers, eternal beings of light who are really here to have our ancient wisdom and our ancient memories reactivated and reawakened so that we can truly be the powerful, fully activated presence on earth that we are designed to be and that we have always intended to be as we shift out of an extremely prolonged dark age and back into an age, truly an age of light. So you can check the link out in the show notes to get more information. But otherwise, I'm just going to close us off with some light language. I didn't pull any cards this week. This was a very spontaneous transmission that I really didn't plan to do. So I don't have any cards this week, but I do have a little light language transmission to activate you and send you on your way. Keia e toro e ha I katro I whirua a I kunotea I sorote I ka I kunosha I soro atroa I foro a I talawinta I koro I haya I sanate o koshio a karati ina aya ki oi a ta iso I kuno ara toro atroa fi I kuno a ti alawin ira koro he I sha I tono sera ke I so io Tēnā kia harati o aia. I sono te katroa wharoa I tēnā. Okay, my beautiful friends, I love you so much. I hope that you are making your way through this low period in the energies and just feeling all the activations that are being made available, all of the healing and all of the upgrades that are being made available. And I will catch you on the next energy report.